New neuroscience research is giving us a clear picture of what trauma actually does to the brain. Dr. Sheryl Ziegler joins us now. She's a licensed clinical psychologist, our 9 News parenting expert as well. So break this down. So it's hard to understand, but it's research.
Yes, this is research. This is why this is important. There is the idea, and anyone who's ever seen it, one of the most best-selling books of all time is The Body Keeps the Score. It's been literally on the bestseller list for like 20 years. It just is amazing. So people are very drawn to it. And so the idea was like, yes, an incident will happen and your body feels it. And I think anyone who's experienced a trauma knows that, right? You startle easily, your heart rate is faster, you might sweat, and the incident isn't even happening, you're just thinking about it, right? So at the time when he brought that out, 20 plus years ago, that was a really novel idea. Like, oh, you can't think your way or talk your way out of trauma because it lives in your body. So we all say that all the time. I say it too. The body keeps the score, trauma is kept in your body. What this new research is saying, and they titled, very interesting, this is a solid research paper, but the title was, The Body Doesn't Keep the Score. So it's gotten a lot of attention, like, what? This is all we know. Really what they're saying is we understand how the brain, the mechanism in the brain is functioning around this, and what the brain is actually doing with the nervous system is it's actually more of a prediction model. Like the reason why we experience trauma so intensely is because the brain is predicting out what might happen and putting you in that state. So when you dive deep, and I had to dive deep on this one, because I just was like, I don't believe this. It sort of was a very flashy title. There's so much that's still in agreement. Really what they're saying though is that this paper is claiming it's not actually kept in your tissues, literally in your body. It is all nervous system and brain. I think that's a semantic that I'm not sure that the layman really needs to know about. But one of the things that was really good is that it actually validated, though, that all those somatic treatments, the body treatments that people experience when they're trying to get trauma treatment, are absolutely the way to go. And that you want to get into a flow state. And that really hasn't been talked about that much. So surfing was listed as something, listening to music, so that you can disrupt the brain's prediction. It's looking for danger, looking for danger. So if you can disrupt it by saying, oh, wait, we can be in a flow state, that will start to change the chemistry of the brain, which will help the body relax more.
Wow.
Did you understand that?
I did.
Okay, good.
I think people will still be, and I was when I started learning about trauma, I was confused at how the body could hold it instead of the brain. I thought your brain did everything like that. Now I understand the difference. But what about kids? Does it show up differently in kids?
Yeah, so what this is a good reminder around is, this was also in this paper, was we think about trauma as big events, right? A shooting or a fire or something really big. And what this paper really emphasized was, especially for children, lack of being taken care of regularly, right? We might call neglect. Little chronic stress, like chronic stress that adds up, actually does get processed as trauma. So, I talk about stress all the time. So they're saying we're really looking at, so there wasn't a big traumatic incident, but maybe a child is under chronic levels of stress that gets processed that way. So I think what it did was basically say, children's brains, they are more vulnerable. And so don't just look for the big stuff in kids especially, but look for stress and how they're managing it.
I've heard of, like, even if a kid has a significant accident, like falls on a bike and has to go to the emergency room or something like that, that becomes something that is often processed as trauma. Or like mom forgot to show up and pick them up at a certain time. Is that all fit into this whole thing?
So I think the two examples you gave are probably different for me. I think a kid having a big accident on a bike and needing to go to the hospital, there were so many things that happened in that moment that could have been a traumatic incident, especially if maybe something happened. They weren't believed, or they missed something, or the hospital was a scary experience, a secure attachment didn't show up for a while. Like, I could see how that. The other example is like mom not picking you up one time. That could be scary, but we're looking for chronic. So you're either looking for one big major event that disrupts the way you understand the world and yourself in it. Like, is this place safe or not, right? That's why one event could do it. But I don't want parents hearing like, you can't, you do one little thing.
We all mess up.
Right, because it's the healthy part too.
I miss pickup once or twice.
Yeah, even for major events, the healthy, secure connection you have with your kid does help determine how you will process a trauma, even one that we could all agree is a major trauma. So parents don't need to worry about stuff like that. But if those things happen, I don't want to underscore, repair is really important to say, I'm very sorry. I ran late because of something. I'm sure that was really scary, right? Validating the kid. I'm sure that was really scary. And I,
Lessens the effect.
Yeah, you just, because if not, if you just say, well, I'm sorry, I was just running late. Hurry up and get in the car. There's a lot in between there that was like, whoa, but what happened?
We call a lot of things trauma these days that might not actually fit into the bucket of real clinical trauma.
I really do agree. It's one of those psychobabble words that people are overusing a lot.
I'm glad you said it.
Yes, I'm saying it because it's such a sensitive, delicate, serious matter, and people think everything's traumatic. But stress, that's what we want to do. We want to focus on stress management. That was one of the big takeaways of this paper.
Oh, so interesting. There's a lot more to talk about with stress. I know people that think they've gotten chronic illnesses because of stress, which I believe.
Certainly doesn't help, right?
Right.
Okay, well, more time for all the psychoanalysis next time. Dr. Ziegler, thank you.
Thanks for having me.